Hi, everybody. Welcome to the second week of management topics and introduction. This week, we're going to be looking at you as a leader. So we looked at the organization, we talked about teams and conflict, but these two modules focus on you developing your leadership competencies and reflecting on your leadership, where you are and where you want to be. So Module 9 is all about a positive approach, a strengths-based approach to leadership development, or just to work and life in general. And this idea that, of course, you have to be good enough at all parts of your job, right? You can't be terrible, but if you're going to put in extra time, like improving, the strengths approach says that you'd be better off focusing on what you were already good at instead of trying to improve in other areas that are not your strengths and you don't really, that don't energize you. Okay, so the one assessment that I'll ask you to take here is called the VIA Character Strength Survey. It's free. And all the answers are good. So there's no bad character strengths. There's no bad virtues. So this assessment has been used and validated in all ages, across different countries and cultures. And it's free, so you can get other people in your world at work or at home to take it as well. An optional assessment that we have access to is called the Cold Learning Styles Inventory. We used to require this, but the technology has gotten such that it's sometimes hard to get the results after you go online and pay your $35. So that's optional, and I'll give you some reading slides that will help you choose your learning style if you have not done that before. So we've got some materials, some links, a video that tells you a little bit about this strengths approach. So take a look at those. Trying to get to my, kind of turn the page. Okay, the written assessment or the written assignment is going to be all about the VIA. So this is your personal assessment of your strengths, and the results that you'll get are your top 5. So what are your top 5 values or character virtues that you hold most dearly, that are most important to you? And do some reflection on that. So I'm going to get the picture out of the way. Okay, I moved the picture so I can turn the page now. So the discussion is going to have you trying to predict your learning style. So this is a learning style from David Kolb's work on learning from experience, experiential learning, reflection. So all of those are different ways that this model has been applied. And so what I would like you to do is read over the slides and try to figure out what is your preferred learning style. Obviously, you're all in graduate school at this point, so you've figured out how to learn in all these different ways. But I'd like you to share with others some information about your personal preference. So this is if you had a choice, how would you choose to learn something new? Whether it's in a class or, you've gotten a new electronic device and you have to put it together, something's wrong with your car. So something that you might need to learn, a new job, a new process, a new software or technology. Okay? And I want other people to try to understand what are the types like that aren't theirs, because we often assume that everybody is like us, and in reality, we're not. So choose what you think to be your style and then answer those questions. Because again, these are your strengths. So as we take a look at Module 10, here we're focused on emotional intelligence. So my background and teaching before I came to the Citadel was to create and teach in a master's program that was executive leadership and organizational change. So it was an entire master's program like you're taking with the MBA, but it was all about emotional intelligence and developing the competencies and seeing how those apply in different aspects of leadership. And so this module is to learn about emotional intelligence. So I've got some readings, I've got some videos that you can take a look at. Your written assignment is to do some personal assessment or reflection. So what do you see as your top 3 competencies based on your read? What are 3 that you'd like to develop and improve on? So say we're separating out, this is not just the strengths approach. Now we're looking at both areas where we're strong and where we might want to develop, given whatever your specific goals are for your life or your career, and then come up with a plan to try to develop those competencies. Finally, the discussion board, I'm going to ask you to share examples. Find an example of emotional intelligence being used well. Okay, so go back to the list. These are my examples. And say, here's a good example of someone using emotional self-control. Here's a good example of someone without empathy. So go back to these specific competencies and look for good examples or bad examples or what it looks like when people don't have these competencies. Okay, so you could look at, here's a good example of someone with a positive outlook or an achievement orientation, or somebody who's good at conflict management, or you could look at bad examples, which often are easier to find the problems. Just to give people examples of what that looks like. So here are a couple videos that I've used in class before that you could look at as an example. So if you look at the first video, it's actually a training video for emotional intelligence materials. You can see, you can do a practice with these videos. So those are the 2 modules for this week, strengths-based approach and then emotional intelligence. So let me know if you have any questions, and I look forward to reading your responses.